Following our mid-year graduation ceremony, we'll now proceed forward with the agenda for this evening, February 19, 2019 meeting of the MISD Board of Trustees. Agenda item number 3, presentations, recognitions, awards, and announcements. We need to do the pledge though, right?
We did the national anthem.
But Ms. Birch is here to lead us. We're going to lead it. All right, we will have a moment of silence followed by the pledge to the U.S. flag and pledge to the Texas flag. Before doing that, however, let me introduce everyone to the cadet who will be leading us in those pledges. That cadet is Lee High School sophomore Mackenzie Birch. Mackenzie is a Chief Staff Sergeant for the Lee High Air Force Junior ROTC. Mackenzie holds the position of Finance Officer and as such is responsible for the management of activity funds for the Junior ROTC. She represented Lee High School Junior ROTC in their Leadership and Academic Bowl competition. She is actively involved with the Color Guard and has performed in 8 Color Guard events. Mackenzie is very involved in the community and has completed over 31 hours of community service this school year so far. Mackenzie qualified and was selected for the Kitty Hawk Academic Honor Society for the Air Force Junior ROTC, which promotes high academic standards in school and community service. Cadet Birch maintains a 3.5 GPA while taking on pre-AP courses in biology, English 2, and Algebra 2. In her free time, Mackenzie enjoys listening to music and playing the piano. Mackenzie was one of only 150 Air Force Junior ROTC cadets in the country selected for the Air Force Flight Academy Scholarship. The Flight Academy is a collaborative effort between the aerospace industry and the Air Force to address the national pilot shortage. Mackenzie will not be able to participate in the school until next year due to FAA rules against training 16-year-olds. Cadet Birch has been awarded the Leadership, Activities, and Marksmanship Awards locally. After she graduates from Lee High School, Mackenzie plans on going to college and continuing an ROTC program and plans to major in aeronautical science. Cadet Birch, welcome and thank you for leading tonight after this moment of silence. Thank you. Cadet Birch.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Cadet Birch. Wish you the very best. All right, now we'll turn to agenda item number 3, presentations, recognitions, award announcements. First, Celebrating Champions of Education event. Call on Purvis Evans, the Executive Director of Educate Midland. Welcome, Purvis.
To the graduates tonight and their families. We certainly celebrate their accomplishments. And we're here because there's a lot to celebrate in our region. One of the groups that we also want to celebrate are our teachers, our principals, administrators, school counselors, our food service workers, our custodians, our bus drivers, our aides, our parents who are doing homeschool, for instance, our child care workers, all of those who touch a child's life and provide them with support to achieve their dreams. So we're having our second annual Celebrate Champions of Education on March 26th, 2019, and that's going to be at the Wagner Noel Performing Arts Center. And last year when we had it, it was here and it was for Midland. But this year we've expanded it to include representatives from Midland, from Greenwood, and Odessa. So you have a culmination of all of these various partners coming together. There are 40 door prize sponsors. There are 19 event sponsors. There are 18 coordinating partnering organizations who have coordinated their efforts around this regional event, and it's all about celebrating our champions of education. This is a free event that's open to the public. It does require registration, and we have several of our partners, not just here today, but right now as Ector County ISD is having their school board meeting as well. There are representatives there just to reiterate and to invite our school board member and every staff and faculty member from Midland ISD to this event. It's going to be a wonderful event. The guest speaker is Dr. Danny Brazell, and he is an educator, an acclaimed international speaker, and an award-winning author. He's known as Jim Carrey with a PhD because of his presentation is so wonderful and engaging. So we're really excited. There's going to be free food. There are going to be door prizes. There are going to be several volunteers. The list keeps growing. The community volunteers who are even filling goodie bags for all of the people that are going to be participating. We're expecting a huge turnout. There will be entertainment, pampering, all kinds of things to make sure that our educators and educational support staff know how much our community supports them and appreciates what they do. To register for this event, you can go to several different websites of our partnering organizations. In Midland, those would be Educate Midland, Midland ISD, Greenwood ISD, and Midland College. And you can find out how to register for that. So you are invited to attend, and it's just a short promo video if you don't mind.
Please.
To get back to them, we are celebrating champions of education. All education heroes are invited to join us for a night of camping, great food, and entertainment featuring nature event.
Sweet, right?
The last starts about 30 inside the Washington California Arts Center on March 26th. Registration is required. Visit any of our partners' websites for more information.
Thank you so much for this time.
Mr. Evans, thank you. Thank Educate Midland. We very much appreciate the partnership that we have with your organization, all that you do for our students, and I'm very grateful for you recognizing those that have made their life's profession to serve children in public schools. Thank you very much for doing all that you do.
Thank you.
All right, next up will be item 3B, Midland Memorial Hospital Championship Hearts Foundation. The information begins on page 13 of the packet for this evening. Mr. Felt, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Davis, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Riddick. The month of February is Heart Health Month. Perfect time to express our gratitude and thanks to Midland Memorial Hospital, Championship Hearts Foundation, and to the countless number of volunteers that made both our December and January heart screening events a great success. The Midland Independent School District has partnered with the Midland Memorial Hospital and Championship Hearts Foundation to give local students the opportunity to receive free heart screening. 176 students were screened at our December event, and 190 students were screened in January. It was truly amazing to see the number of volunteers, high school students, senior citizens, and cardiologists all coming together to ensure an efficient, well-organized event. The district looks forward to long partnership with the program, and we are very appreciative to everyone that gave their time. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Wes Bart and Dr. Leila Lowe from the Midland Memorial Hospital.
Thank you, Blake. We certainly want to thank Blake and his participation in identifying the screening days that would work for all of the student athletes ISD and throughout Midland County and the Permian Basin. Just to tell you a little bit about the screening, what we do is we identify just the ages 14 to 18, and those teenagers are the primary ones that we try to screen. And the screening itself is really looking at for hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And we are screening the kids that are active in athletics, band, cheer, any sort of athletic activity. And they don't have to be in an athletic activity for us to screen them. The things that we screen them for is blood pressure. We also do an echocardiogram, and we do echocardiogram. And all of these are provided at no charge for families that have a good screen. We did screen a total of 366 kids. We could screen more, but that was the number that ended up showing up, so that's all we screened. I'm going to have Dr. Lola talk a little bit about the results we found. We did have 6 kids we identified as needing further workup afterwards, but I'll let him talk about the methods.
Thank you, Paul. We're basically looking for immediate life-saving
Well, thank you both. We really appreciate the service you provided, and I know those 6 students really appreciate the follow-up service that you're going to give to them. Thank you very much for making this available to our students. All right, next FMH Foundation presentation. Ms. Owen, welcome.
Good evening. It's great to be here again. I'm Jamie Owen, the ED of Midland ISD Education Foundation. I'm joined tonight with Melissa Horner and Eileen Hewitt. Mr. Davis, Board of Trustees, Mr. Riddick, and Mr. Powell. It's the best part of my job to be here and to present and recognize the FMH Foundation and its Executive Director, Eileen Hewitt. For the last 20 years, I've known Eileen. I've known her as a friend, as a mentor, and as an example of everything that is professional and right. And to just give you some context, Eileen was on the committee that hired me at Meals on Wheels in 1999. So we do go back a ways, even before that. Yes, we were very young. Her position at the FMH Foundation is that I really consider the crowning achievement of her very successful career. Eileen knows our work is about relationships. It's trust that is the most important ingredient with funders and people they fund. I know I can count on Eileen for advice when things go right, but even more importantly, if they don't go right. Since 2012, the FMH Foundation and Marie Hall have given Midland ISD Fine Arts Department over $500,000. Deb Shaw is an indispensable part of that as the Director of Fine Arts. She polls and interviews her directors and teachers on their needs and maybe even a few wants. The Big Buoy Reboot is the most current grant that we're doing from FMH Foundation. It is funding everything from bottom mics to dance floors to saxophones and sewing machines and Chromebooks. It's a big grant. How could we manage without the generous gifts from the FMH Foundation? I know many of dream to the principal. She was interested in everyone and really wanted to make sure that her gifts were purposeful, needed, and aided in the education of children. It's my pleasure to introduce right now Eileen Lewis. Thank you.
When we established our foundation, our mission statement was to further a vision toward a reality. And when we came out here to Bowie, and we met with the impressive administration, staff, and faculty, and we realized that vision, it was really, as they say, a no-brainer for us to invest in this. One of Marie's greatest passions, along with healthcare, is the arts. She supported it throughout the state. When she focused her foundation, it was on her investment in justice. So I'm delighted today to greet you all the second half of our $200,000 pledge for Bowie to your greatest ambassadors that MISD has ever had.
Thank you so much. We're heading toward 1 million, right?
Yeah.
I have a small token of my appreciation to Eileen. It is a picture of Eileen with a whole bunch of kids from Lee High School band. They're in the band hall, and it's one of the most delightful pictures I have of Eileen, so I'm passing it on to her.
Ms. Peewit, if I could just echo, and I just want to echo your comments about Ms. Peewit as someone who runs an organization that has benefited from the FMH Foundation. I really think your leadership in this community and something like this is a real testament to what Marie Hall would have loved, this kind of, this kids and the arts. So thanks for all that you do in the community.
Yes. Thank you very much. The materials provide that among the things this will go for is that some people unfortunately don't choose to pursue band in school because they can't afford the instruments. And the Bowie Reboot will help all students afford to pursue their musical interest, and we thank you very much for that and all the donations that you provide to school.
They won't take a picture.
Oh, you want a picture? Okay. All right. Thank you for all that. Great start to the meeting. Agenda item number 4 is our public forum. We have 2 speakers who have signed up to address us this evening. The first one is Jennifer Carpenter. The topic is comment boxes. Ms. Carpenter, welcome.
You've all had the chance to see the responses with the exception of Mr. Giuschetti, and Burger said I would be happy to forward those along to you. We have some amazing campus leaders, and we have some campuses that are truly thriving. Unfortunately, our negative experiences are by far outweighing the positives. Why is that? Why are our teachers and aides unhappy? that so much that they have to cut off the opportunity of parents who are trying to get their children into those schools? Why do we have campuses that are continuing to struggle with teacher retention and others that have teachers begging to get in the door? I emailed this board and the head of HR, Woodrow Bailey, on Friday afternoon about my concern for these teacher comment boxes that were purchased to collect feedback from each campus. I have yet to hear back from you. When I first came to you all, when I first came back to you all originally, Mr. Bishop has more than once, might I add, suggested having our high school woodshop classes make individual boxes for each campus. From my understanding, the teachers for those classes were on board. However, we spent nearly $200 for only 3 boxes to leave on the campus for what I understand is only 3 weeks at a time. How does this give every educator the chance to voice concerns? They are to somehow leave campus during school hours to drop off their forms in another campus? Unacceptable. This form that these teachers have received to fill out is smaller than a half of a sheet of paper, with 2 paragraphs about the district's desire to learn more, and 10 tiny lines to write out phrases or concerns. How is this protecting the teacher's identity, and how is this enough room to voice their thoughts? I alone have 3 minutes here with you to vent my frustrations. However, the teachers aren't given the same courtesy. Is this district sincerely concerned about what is happening here in Midland, Texas, or are you simply putting in the motions to humor myself and this community with our concerns? You preach transparency, and I have been every inch of patient on this matter. The current campus that has the boxes only has 1 box out today the teachers have not received any instructions on what it is about or where their comment cards go, which I assure you, if you're looking to resolve the struggles we are experiencing, you will not get honest feedback if they have to hand them into an administrator. Mrs. Campbell has done an excellent job and has sincerely get positive feedback from our district and our educators in this community. But the lack of trust from teachers for the administration and central office and the administrators will not gather the very honesty you seek. I told you all that every leadership role should encourage feedback to grow and improve. This goes district-wide. However, I'm seeing very little desire to learn these issues. I will not stop standing up for teachers, and I refuse to accept the mediocre attempt to look the part. We need you all to walk the talk and follow through. This district needs to stop trying to pretend to be concerned when it's only a false representation. Back in August, I also shared the idea for a culture board, which involves community HR reps from local businesses. This could help encourage community involvement as well as help rebuild relationships within the district. It has been stated that MISD likes to think outside the box, then let's do that pertaining to the culture. I have seen plenty of community members who want to get involved, and I spoke to many during the recent school board election that they want to help but are discouraged because of recent outcomes from people they know. I have spoken with many of you individually about these things, and I know you want to see things improve. However, at this point, actions speak louder than words, and I challenge each of you to do what the constituents have elected you to do, to start making things happen. We need you to help hold this district administration accountable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Next, Mitchell Berry. Topic, the gap of kids who test too low for special ed and too high for life skills. What is MISD doing to meet the needs of these kids? Mr. Berry, welcome.
Somewhere around 12 years ago, Reading Recovery System 44 and Reading 180 were discontinued by the school district. Through these 3 programs, kindergarten through 6th grade were serviced in order to get the gap closed and being able to read and grade well. We have a problem here now, I see, and I've questioned Mr. Fong at length about it. I've questioned some of the people in the administration building about it. But there is a gap of kids. They test too low for special education, and they test too high for life skills. These guys fall in the gap of not getting any type of special service to meet their needs. These kids cannot read it. I've experienced that firsthand. And they are in regular education classroom all day. RTI reading specialist at Bush has just this second semester had the time to be able to take out these kids for 30-minute sessions to get some intervention for them. My question is, what is in ISD to accommodate the needs of these kids, other than going to the hospital? And Mr. Patrick Jones had emailed me back and has given me a couple of names, Sylvia Vermont, Karen Johnson, New York, in charge of the elementary reading specialists. And I will be meeting with them hopefully no later than Friday of this week at the administration meeting. But these kids, from what I've discovered and lots of questions to the administration, traveling around, going to other schools, these kids need more than what the teacher can do in the regular education class. And they need an intense intervention. And my last thing, I'd like to see us put on the agenda for next school year. I know that some of my questions can be answered by Mr. Long, Ms. Johnson, but right now what I see is a struggling school where the bush is supposed to be towards the top. A lot of frustration from teachers as to what other things do we have coming down the line that can help these kids be successful and get the gap closed. Mission statement for the ISD is that children will be college and career ready when they graduate. These kids, if they can't read, they're not going to be able to graduate. And they're definitely not going to be career or college ready. I want to work with the district, and I'm for the district, and I'm for the teachers in every school in the United States. And I want to help them. I want to raise awareness to get the kids the help that they need. And thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berry. All right. Now turning to our consent agenda. 5A, our board meeting minutes from past meetings on page 15. 5B, financials on page 21. 5C, monthly expenditures on page 28. 5D, monthly investment report on page 44. 5E, CTE innovative course application, page 50. 5F, furniture purchase for Young Women's Leadership Academy, page 59. 5G, modular classrooms for Young Women's Leadership Academy, page 68. 5H, corridor concrete floor staining for Travis Elementary, page 100. 5I, vehicle purchases, page 107. 5J, new internet contracts, page 120. 5K, new wide area network contract, page 124. And personnel appointments, 5L, page 128. Board members, do any of those consent agenda items need to be pulled for any reason? After. Okay. All right, hearing none, they'll all be deemed approved by consent. Mr. Bailey, I think you have an introduction to make to us. Please, sir. Welcome.
Board President Davis, board members, Superintendent Riddick, it's great joy and pleasure that we introduced to you tonight one of the recommendations that was included on the board document, and that is Ms. Jill McCall. She's here tonight. She's recommended and just approved as Executive Director of Student Services for Midland ISD. She's been in the education field for 20 years, and she still enjoys the everyday challenges that it brings. She spent 9 years in the classroom in different content areas and 11 years in administration, also with federal programs at the district level. She began her career in Muleshoe, Texas, and since then has worked in schools of various sizes to develop her expertise with varying populations. She is currently the Director of Federal Programs for the next few days and curriculum at Bolton ISD, and she comes highly recommended by several present and past superintendents throughout Northwest Texas. And we appreciate the approval tonight.
Ms. McCall, welcome. I'm glad to have you. All right, district reports. 6A, academic update. The information begins on page 132 of our board packet. Mr. Horner? Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Board member, Superintendent Riddick, Mr. Powell, today's academic update is regarding EIC local. This is policy regarding class rank calculation. You'll see on page 132 of the board packet the information put together for you today. This information went to the Board Policy Committee on February 7th and was recommended to bring to the full board panel this evening. What I want to show you is, to begin with, the task force, led by our Advanced Academic Services Judy Bridges. Midland ISD EIC Review Task Force included a parent, Midland College, and UTPB. It included central office administrators, directors, principals, associate principals, many counselors, but most importantly, several teachers, instructional specialists that work directly with students, put together a review of EIC. So also in your packet, you'll see recommended changes that this committee is bringing forth that we would like to show to you tonight. So in a nutshell, I want to refer to page 137 of your packet. If you're able to pull up side by side, 137 is the simplest view of this, and I'll pull it up here in a minute. But there are three key things that this task force of 35 strong is bringing to you. First of all, the rationale behind this, the committee wanted to propose a plan that's equitable and easy to understand for all stakeholders, meets community expectations, and best serves the needs of our students. So it entails three things. First of all, the class of 2012-2013 has already been here and gone. So you'll see in the actual packet several revisions that are highlighted in blue. So I won't go to those because it's quite lengthy. But we're recommending just extraction and removal of anything that's highlighted in blue. That's because those students have since graduated and several years removed. So we really have no need for any policy in the IC grade calculations for that group of students. More important though, I want to point out to you, and it's on the side by side, two key areas of the recommended policy that are highlighted in green. So green recommends, the task force recommended two key areas here.
input from the community. We have a letter that we're prepared to put out to parents, community, and then bring it back to you with further consideration of actually maybe revision if necessary, but bring it back to you for consideration for adopting a board policy in the March board meeting. Glad to answer any questions. Again, the side-by-side is the easiest way to look at approximately 600 pages of work and stuff. But I think it describes it well.
Jeff?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to underscore the fact that I think this is a positive step in the direction of realizing equity and equality as it relates to the courses that these students are capable of achieving. This is a very positive step.
A lot of, it really was discussion, the task force, I give Judy Bridges all the credit in the world because leading a task force of 35 strong is, they're very passionate, and our culture of community did not know what they were getting into, but their way, their conversation, it was really the parents, the parent input that led them to finally conclude to an equal weight between dual credit and advanced placement because of simplicity, and definitely we want to remove any opportunity for institutional bias in our policy. And by having equal weight and a very simple policy that includes every credit they take, but equal weight for dual credit and advanced placement, definitely leads well to her recommendation of being simplistic, removes all bias, opportunity for bias.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Horner, and thank you, Ms. Bridges, and thanks to the entire task force for all the work that went into this. Look forward to acting on it perhaps next meeting, or?
Yes, sir. Our plans are to listen input. We're going to put out a digital survey so we can make sure to get that feedback in. We've already had some of our GPA have asked some questions regarding how this affects their students. I didn't say it in the report several times, but this, of course, would go into effect for the incoming class of 1920. So it would not impact any current students in 9, 10, 11, and 12 in current grades. So it wouldn't impact students already in high school. It would impact students in 7th and 8th grade right now going into 9th grade as they're registered. But the goal is to solicit feedback, make sure we can answer community questions. This is, as we talked with the board policy committee, it is a very passionate subject for both educators and parents. So we'll try and put together questions and answer all questions of the community, just to make sure there's no miscommunication between us and the parents. And then my request would be bring that back for a actual and vote action item in March.
Okay.
Jeff, is so statewide? Is this how does that? How do we compare ourselves against, per se, with other districts?
This committee looked at over 20 of the top districts in the state. They looked at our comparison schools that are our 40 comparison schools, and then those schools that are outstanding in calling for military readiness measures. So statewide, what you'll find is every policy in every district, you'll find idiosyncrasies that each one of them are different. If you look at 100 policies, you'll find 100 different policies regarding GPA. With that said, they all have consistencies in dual credit having a heavier weight, AP having a heavier weight, and in general, the majority will also have all state credit. So they definitely looked at our competitors and those students that are when our students graduate and we present them to the community for scholarships and for things like legacy scholarship, that GPA has a heavy weight. So this gives our students what we believe, the task force believes, an equal weight compared to the rest of the state because it is very, very similar. We did see a slight, when we went to the 18 credits as opposed to 26, because we removed a lot of the electives, we saw overall a slight decrease in our average GPA. So we do believe this will also give our students a leg up when competing for scholarships, especially for locally for the Lexington Scholarship from Miller College. So this policy is much in line with the state. There's none that are identical, but that's just the way the GPA policy is run, but it is very similar to what the rest of the state has.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Horner. Appreciate it. All right, next up, 6B, Board Goals Report on Goal Progress Measures 1.1 and 1.2. Ms. Rivera, welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Davis, fellow board members, Superintendent Riddick, Mr. Powell. I'm here on behalf of Teaching and Learning to represent our goal progress measures, 1.1 and 1.2. So our goal progress measure 1.1 is looking at our K-2 students performing on or above grade level in ISD. So as we look at where we are kind of middle of year, I think you can see this in your packet. What I'd like to show is just kind of where we are at this point in the year. We're actually at 63% of our K-2 students being on or above grade level. That's actually 5 percentage points higher from where we were this time last year. So still have a ways to go before we get to our end of year goal, which is actually 77%. So lots of work going on at the campus level, lots of data digs, systems reviews, just to ensure that all the necessary things are in place for our kids to continue to perform. I think sometimes when we give these reports, 5 percentage points, 2 percentage points don't really sound like a lot, but when you look at 5%, that's actually almost 400 more kids in K-2 reading on our level. So really proud of the work. We know there's growth still to be made, but we are having those data conversations at campuses, and we're excited about where we are, but still know that there's growth still to be made by the end of the year.
Yeah, last year it looks like we improved on our middle of year percentage by 10 percentage points to reach 68, which almost hit the target, which is terrific. And overall the graph is going up, so that's terrific. However, if we only improve by 10% middle of year to the end, we will fall short of our goal at the end of the year. So I hope that we will make that goal.
Hope is not a strategy for us, so we are really, really working hard to get that improvement in our K-2.
Great, thank you.
So what's the number, what's the total number of kids that would be, that would have to be there? You said 400 and 5%, would it be 800 total for?
Well, this is just compared to where we were at the end of last year. I mean, at the middle point of last year. So looking at last year's middle of year and this year's middle of year, I don't have the exact percentage of students that need to be there other than we need to be at 77%.
Right.
I don't know exactly how many students that is right now. We have about 6,600 students in K-2, so 77%.
I'm reluctant to do public math, but it's almost 1,200 if we reach incremental, almost 1,200 if we incremental students helped if we reach 77, I think.
Well, and you know, I still remember the day when we all went through this, setting the progress goals, and you know, it's real refreshing to hear some numbers and the progress. You know, I mean, we obviously we got goals we're trying to meet, but you know, several years ago we weren't at this point. So you know, congratulations. I know the work's not done yet, but we still got to move forward. But to hear numbers and the progress and you know, target, at least I feel like public knows that there's the incremental steps that are happening and the progress that is being accomplished. So thank everybody for the hard work.
Yes, sir, and we like the trend. We wish the trend was happening faster, but the work is happening at the campus level to get kids, to get our K-2 students really rapidly engaged.
I'm encouraged by these numbers. As someone who has a second grader and logs into iStation at bedtime each night, I know that the program is good, and this actually speaks well to during the public comment about some of the campuses that are still struggling with reading, and I don't think it's any secret that I'm an advocate for early literacy, and that if we increase that all those other test scores we want to increase, I would bet my meager government salary will follow. If the reading comes up, so everything else will as well. So we're not where we want to be, but we're trending in the right direction.
Meanwhile, go to the next one.
Goal progress measure 1.2 is also our K2 students, measured by Fountas and Cornell, our FLP assessment. This year, at middle of year, we are at 69% middle of year. That's actually 2 percentage points from where we were at this time last year, which 2 percentage points, again, I think when we get into percentages, 2% sounds meager, but that's looking at about 215 more kids at this time this year than last year being on or above grade level in Fountas and Cornell. Fountas and Cornell is one of the assessments where our kindergartners have just taken their actual first assessment. We don't assess kinder at the beginning of the year because we don't expect kinder kids to be reading when they get to us. So our first assessment happens at middle of year. So while this looks stagnant kind of where we are, what we see from this point to the end of the year is our kindergartners really ramping it up and getting there to that level D by the end of the year. So this is kind of where we sit currently. Again, this is the progress measure of where we want to be at the end of the year on multiple measures for goal 1. So FNP is our second assessment that we use for goal 1. Again, not where we want to be, but training measures are in place at the campus level. Some data digs are happening with some data worksheets we did at the last two 18 meetings with our principals. Now in small group, when they meet with their executive directors, they'll be able to go deeper into that data to figure out exactly, is it a certain grade level, is it a certain teacher's classroom, and really figure out where we need to support the most to really get these kids where we need them to be by the year. Because we need them on grade level when they get to third.
Are those differences, are those things you mentioned either different or enhanced from last year?
I think the systems that are in place with Fountas and Cornell with more training to actually administer the assessment are better than we have been in years prior. Last year's end of year, Fountas and Cornell has been the most accurate FNP testing that we've had. We have some new teachers in the system in K2 that struggled with some middle of year testing, so we're responding to those needs also before.
Okay.
Not where we want to be.
I like what you said. Hope is not a strategy.
It's not a strategy for us. We are working daily.
Okay. Any questions?
Still don't throw all the data you want, but if you're not doing it.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Rivera.
Teachers, then they're not going to do any better.
All right. Next district report, 6C, financial update. Ms. Moss, welcome.
We met with the principals to tell them that they're not showing the results. Really? You don't think the principals looked at it all day long?
That's the only change from what's in our electronic packet? Okay, all right.
I just want to brief you on 3 items.
31 payments, and then we're just legislative updates. We ended the month of January with $168.4 million in cash and short-term investments. Our year-to-date revenue exceeds our year-to-date expenditures by $79.5 million in the general operating fund. Our interest rates range from 2.39 to 2.62% in January. Interest rates for January 2018 range from 1.29 to 1.55%. Interest earned for all funds total $222,000, bringing the year-to-date total to $782,000. Our year-to-date tax collections totaled $160.7 million, or 62% of the revised budget. Collections are slightly down compared to January of 2018. However, they are on target if you look at that on a 3-year average. The board amended the budget in January, resulting in an excess of $2.3 million. Other local revenue from the general fund sits at 150% of the revised budget. The majority of this overage is a result of the increase in our interest rates that we've seen over the past year. We submitted our first recapture payment in the amount of $8.9 million to the state on February 8th. The balance due after that payment is $53.8 million. This chart just shows the remaining payment schedule for the 18-19 fiscal year.
Since our year ended in June, that doesn't get that never gets adjusted.
No, sir. We will adjust it on the books. However, we don't have to make those payments until July and June.
Okay.
Okay, we were required to submit information to the Texas Education Agency in January for the calculation of the district planning estimate for the recapture payments. The district sent in estimates of our weighted average daily attendance, central appraisal district costs, and maintenance and operations tax collection. This information was based on data as of the second 6 weeks reporting period.
You're wanting to go back one slide, is that right? That would be our page 5 on the handout? Okay.
And so just to take away from this chart, I wanted to provide to the board the information on their recapture and how it was for the year. Our original budget that was adopted by the board in June, we adopted 57.5 as the recapture amount. So once we got our taxable values in and our student count and updated that, we revised that budget in January. And so our new estimate for recapture as of the second 6 weeks was $62.8 million. Well, what we provided to the state, the payment was calculated at $62.7. So that shows you that by the time what we're estimating right now, by the time we make that final payment, as of the second 6 weeks, we would have done an overpayment of $62.3. And then if you look at semester, we've gone ahead and ran the template for semester, and that new estimate is $63.4 million. So based on where we are right now, that shows that we will have an underpayment to the state of $708,000. If you recall, the past 2 years has resulted in an overpayment to the state on recapture, so we were very careful in how we calculated that in January of this year. So this year, the state, versus the state holding our dollars, we'll be holding the state's dollars, and we will have to make a payment back to the state versus the earnings.
I was about to say, we need more of the whole state's dollars, please. Yeah.
They don't pay interest.
Yeah. Although these are our dollars.
The governor, the lieutenant governor, and the speaker of the House have communicated that property tax reform and school finance reform, including teacher compensation, are the priorities for this legislative session. Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 2 are aimed at property tax reform. They include several policy reform proposals, including the 2.5% revenue cap and the 2.5% rollback rate. There is still, however, no official school finance bill language in either the House or the Senate. The governor has declared school finance, teacher compensation, and property tax reform as emergency items. These issues may now be taken up and acted upon during the first 60 days of the session. They can be placed on an emergency calendar and take priority over all other legislation. And that is what we're looking for, that if they do anything in regards to school finance, they do it quickly. Since we are on a July 1 June 30 budget, that will help us promote. The other slides that I provided to you just show the memberships or the organizations that we're members of. And I also provided to you for each organization a little excerpt from their website and also their website location. All of these organizations provide lots of information to us. Mr. Rick and myself receive several emails daily, keeping us updated. We've not calculated anything as of yet. It's early in the session, and there are a lot of moving parts in House Bill 2 and Senate Bill 2. Typically, what I provide to the board during the budget workshop will be a scenario 1 for current law, a scenario 2 for anything that has passed at that time. So as we proceed through the budget, that's what you'll see in our April budget workshop, based on whatever legislation has passed at that time.
But as of today, there's been no school finance bill proposed in either house. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
So they've not yet determined what formula will be used to calculate school finance. What each have done is propose billions of dollars to come in to the system. How they go out is what they need to determine on a calculation. So there are calculations of weights that go back to the early 1990s that have never been updated all the way up to 2018. They're trying to make a determination, do they recalculate those weights to change, and would that change impact many across the state, as well as what a basic allotment is. Basic allotment is what all districts get. They're trying to determine, do we recalculate weights, increase the basic allotment? Does that help everybody, property poor, property rich districts across the state? And then how does the 2.5% cap that the big three, governor, lieutenant governor, and speaker of the House, how does that determine into the equation as well? So they've not come up with a formula. The organizations that Ms. Moss represented earlier that we're a part of are designing what formulas could be used, and will be in front of both the Senate and the House finance committees to run those formulas to decide how much help and what angle or approach they may take in designing that, and then clear them both out, and both need to pass. But we're working to track what that looks like on the school finance side, as well as accountability in other areas that are being pushed. And we get high-level updates based on accountability, school finance, property tax reform. So it shows the bills that are kind of making ground, that are either getting sponsored by other representatives or senators, that are kind of making their way, and then seeing where those senators play within certain committees to see if those bills will launch themselves forward.
Will the change in formula change the recapture formula?
So if they were to change the formula, it would. If they were to change the basic allotment, it would. The concern I have is a 2.5% cap. not sharing what kind of impact that would have. We would still have a recapture payment that would come forward. I don't know how much relief that would give us based on the 2.5. The state would provide the gap. The gap would still not be enough for us to mitigate our recapture.
So basically, the revenue cap kind of eliminates the growth of the local revenue. Say our revenue grew at 8%, we're capped out at 2.5%. Anything above that, we're not allowed to.
While still more likely than not being obligated to pay Chapter 41 payments of probably more than $50 million, local tax dollars, to Austin.
So are you saying that if our revenues go up, I thought that if it would be the tax rate is what they're talking about, the 2.5%.
Well, there's two parts of it. In regards to school districts, there are two parts. Cities and counties are different. There's a revenue cap and then there's a rollback rate. The rollback rate is the portion that you're talking about, which is first capped out at $1.04. You can go up to $1.04 without going out to the citizens for TRE. What they're saying is they're going to make that 1.025 would be the cap.
So we have to go back to voters. We want to go back to $1. So one of the aspects of that is that if you're reduced in your M&O, which is the $1.04 that we have, and that gets there's a certain word, I just can't pull it right now, that gets reduced. In order to go back to the $1.04, you have to go back to voters. Even though you went there before and voters said, yes, we want to be taxed at $1.04, if it was reduced, you'd have to go back to voters to go back to the $1.04. So there's language in there to see, is there a one-time waiver in regards to that? So you don't have to go back to voters, but right now, as it speaks, we would have to, unless that bill gets modified in some form or fashion, in order to get those same revenues we were getting before. Mm-hmm. If not, we would lose that revenue, less a recapture payment.
If that rollback is greater than 2 cents, and we go back to the $1.04, the first 2 cents are not recapturable. But if it's greater than that, are we going to get a penalty? Say it rolls back to $1 and we want to go to 104. The first 2 cents, not recapturable. The second 2 cents would be. Would we get penalized under the new formula?
The first 6 stay within, so we have 2 more pennies we can go after that are not recapturable.
Right.
So anything that goes well above that starts to fall into that. So if we were to go above the $1.06, that would be more money that would get recaptured from us.
Regardless of how far they roll.
Right, and that's based on what they do, again, on the recapture side. There's talk about having some recapture, but still early processing. We're not sure what
So
include
population, student population or something, because obviously we're going to be having more revenue, but we got more kids. I'm hopeful that they take that into consideration.
Well, House Bill 2 and Senate Bill 2, they do allow for you to keep an amount equal to your student growth, right? It's not.
I would defer to Ms.
As I understand
on that.
At this
so
point, we don't really know what the
right.
Senate Bill 2, I think it's Senate Bill 2, they've already revised it 16 times already. So again, it's early on in the process. A lot of moving parts in Senate Bill 2 and House Bill 2. So we're just watching it closely. As soon as we get something that we can calculate,
So during our legislative sessions, we've shared with senators and representatives when our Midland community went to share these very points. The rollback would be an impact to us, especially as a Chapter 41, knowing that there would be less revenue, knowing we'd have to go back to voters to go back to what we were previously. The 2.5% cap, it may slow down, may not slow down fast enough for our community that's growing at between 10 and 15% in value each year over year, over the last several years, and our student population growing between 2 and 4%, not keeping up, that strategy creates Midland as an anomaly. So we're an outlier in all the conversations that are being had where districts are, values like in Austin are going up, but their student enrollment is going down. They're trying to address what that large payment looks like for them of $500 million. But we're an outlier where our values are going up and we're getting more students drawn into the district. And so we sit outside the realm of where Chapter 41 districts are, not all, but several are struggling with loss of student enrollment and high property values. It's what is creating their Chapter 41 status. Dallas ISD being an example as the newest one. We actually send more money to the state than Dallas ISD that has 160,000 students. We're number 7 on the list. And so we're addressing that with the legislative body to share how can we impact Midland in an area that has 50% economically disadvantaged kids that still need reading at K-2 early childhood, buildings, buses, facilities, people, healthcare. We still have to make all that happen, knowing that you see the amount of dollars that are being driven out of our community. That's a powerful voice that we have to share. We have to do something different. And so it has to happen this legislative session because next session is redistricting. And there will be no piece that's going to impact representatives and senators that are going to upset community members or get something sensitive outside of redistricting the state. And so it has to happen this session. Thus the emergency status behind elements and bills. We've got three very great representatives and senators that are advocating for our area in a very positive way. They need help around messaging what that's like because they will do what's called a run. They will start the formula process on what that looks like funding-wise. They will pull districts all over the state and they will say, am I a winner or a loser around that? And that's how they will begin to make the adjustments of what they call the runs will look like based on the formulas that are driving the funding. We're not there yet, but they're building, as you can see, 16 iterations of what a finance bill starts to look like.
So part of the gist is to make the rollback in property taxes is basically to might not be precise, but make the school district. I mean, we're the bad guy at the end of the day again, right? Because they're making you lower it, and then they make you go back.
Correct.
And ask for it again.
Correct. It could look like there was a value brought to our community, but in order to provide the resources and the items to run and operate, we would need to go back to the $1.04. Right. And so the state could look as if, well, we gave it to you. Now you as citizens have to decide, do you want to go back in that way? And our voters would have to make a decision, do we want to make that happen or not? But yes, the onus would be put on then local control.
All right, that's something very important for the community to know and understand that in governing a school district that we're honestly trying to do the best we can with every penny, but we're forced. The hand is forced by the state of Texas and some of the decision making that we're not in control of. So it's a little bit disheartening because right now Midland's growing a lot, and we need the resources. We cannot wait. That was something that was brought up in the priority Midland. The people that were there, that we cannot wait. We cannot wait to continue to wait for infrastructure, and so the need for Midland is great right now. And so anyway, it's a little disheartening to know that we might have some other challenges in front of us. But,
the school is the only taxing entity that has to spend money. All other taxing entities
Right.
And to reiterate Mr. Kennedy's point, there seems to be no relief in sight. Is that right?
Well, they're working on it this legislative session. That's probably the best.
How many versions of this bill did you say have been
It's already
structured?
been about 16 times.
And
it's not only school finance. They're talking, the water district, cities and counties. It's different things. It's not just related to school.
Well, I don't want to be a pessimist, but I'm not encouraged by what I hear and read.
The pressure is on because more and more school districts are falling into the Chapter 41 status, and their model shows across the state that is actually what is funding public education, Chapter 41 districts that are providing over $3 billion worth of resources to fund education around the state that are leaving communities that need those resources.
25% school districts are impacted.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Moss. Appreciate it. All right, next, 6D, staffing update. Information is on page 172 of the packet for this evening's meeting. Mr. Bailey, welcome.
Board President Davis, board members, we're going to read it one more time. Just coming to bring a brief staffing report. February, of course, we are currently completing the staffing ratio, staffing projections for 2019, 2020, and we will have that information coming in a future board workshop that we may be able to provide that information to you. Of course, keeping the idea of smaller classrooms, looking at the 22 to 1, and K through 2, and also 3 and 4, 24 to 1, and then 28 to 1, 5 and 6, all the way through high school. So we're looking at those staffing trends, trying to be sure that we are taking those into account as far as budget planning for next year. Actually, tomorrow morning starts our recruitment schedule for the year, believe it or not. Our first recruitment visit, university recruitment visit was tomorrow at Butler Christian University. I did provide you those visits. We are currently scheduled for 21, and so we look forward to going out and trying to get the best and brightest to come back to Midland, to come to Midland if it's their first time. So we look forward to an exciting tour, and if any of you would like some information or have some contacts, we would definitely welcome those so that we can make contact with those students. Our internal transfer job fair is scheduled for February 26, 2019, right here at Bowie Fine Arts, and that's for our internal teachers that might want other opportunities. Of course, we're adding a new campus this year, and so teachers that are interested in possibly that campus or transferring to another campus. We found out from feedback from last year, which was the first year we had our teacher transfer job fair, that it was a great opportunity for our teachers to explore different assignments, different campuses that they feel like might benefit them the most. So we're looking forward to that on February 26th, and then our MISD job fair is going to be April 27th at Lee High School, and that's where we have all of our campuses and departments there to make available job opportunities for those that want to come. Last year we had well over 300 people to come to our job fair in this spring, so it was our first in a long time, and so we're looking forward to that. So, any questions?
Do you have any possibilities of visiting HBCUs?
Yes, sir. In fact, there are really two in Texas that have a number of students. The one that we would travel to most often is the Prairie View University job fair. I've attended that several times. Their education numbers have dwindled over the years, and as you see on the list, the University of Houston has started a job fair that encompasses, I believe, 8 universities in the Houston area, and Prairie is one of those. And so we were able to last year to talk to some of those Prairie View students that attended that job fair instead of the one that's housed actually there. The other one is Houston Johnson in Austin, and there's actually is also paired with the University of Texas job fair, so we're able to identify some of those students as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Bailey? All right, thank you. Next district report, 6C, facilities update. Mr. Riggin, welcome.
Good evening, Board President Davis, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent James Riggin, and Chief Operations Officer Superintendent ISD. Today is my pleasure to bring forth in my report 3 items. First item being just an update of where we are on the board facility committee. As you know, the board established a board facility committee to look over the report and data and information presented by the Citizens Facility Committee in last fiscal year. Since January, your board committee has been working hard. We've been meeting weekly to review the data of the citizens committee, and been pushing staff to produce additional data and information for review by the board committee. This work is ongoing. This committee is working diligently to review all information and data to bring forth this appropriate and report and recommendation in the future. The next item is just want to touch base. We are expecting the updated 2019 demographic study, updated demographics to be provided to the district at the end of this month. That report is important to us and to the facility committee so that they can justify numbers from staff and forecast future students that we were expecting in our community and what we would be looking for the next 10 years. So that information will be forthcoming. We'll be able to share that with the committee and allow committee to see that information paired with the information that we received in past data.
Can I ask you a quick question? When we keep hearing we're going to get all these demographic studies done and everything, once we get that, when do you think we're going to have a full recommendation?
As far as from the committee?
Yes.
I do not know. At this point, the committee is still working through information and requesting additional information for their review. And they are making headway at this point in time. A full report back to the full board is will be forthcoming.
In other words, we don't know, but we do know that we need to complete that work sooner rather than later in order to perhaps have it on the November ballot, which is our goal right now, and to have plenty of lead time to educate everyone about what the components of the proposal will be. It is a lot of information, a lot of factors to consider. We would like nothing more than to be finished with it yesterday, but we're not. And the reason we're not is that we know how important it is to get it right, and we don't want to rush it until we feel like it is a comprehensive, well thought out plan to present to the entire board and then in turn to hopefully the entire community after that. So, but as far as a date is, we don't have one yet, but we know it needs to be sooner rather than later.
I hope this one, I'm going to hope it really works.
And finally, a facility update for Midland Leadership Academy. Tonight we will place the bill forward 2 items directly related to the work that we will continue on that campus. We are looking at providing a modular campus that would be adjacent to the campus in this district. That work will, with approval survive with the modular building contractor. We will be able to start very shortly. Starting bringing things on, being other utilities established there, being ready for that startup school to begin operation in that school year in August. Our test will occur. The exciting part about that project is that it's not just going to be portable buildings. I'm not using the term portable because it's a modular campus. And when we look at this campus, we were able to, School Bus Services and Technology were able to find ways and means to develop a modular campus that will be made up of modular units. They're placed together in a little bit more economical fashion, but mostly when you walk in the front door of this facility, you will be able to walk through what, in all practical purposes, will look like a building that's made up of 8 classrooms, 2 labs, administrative offices, and then it has a separate supporting room that will have multi-purpose room and dining. Those facilities will look, as you walk through, to be a center-loaded quarter, all in 2 units that will make up that modular campus. For safety, security, and for this new startup, Young Women's Leadership Academy, it's going to be an exciting new building concept that is modular and portable, but it is, I think, going to be a nice addition to the startup campus this week. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Riggin. Next, district report, innovation update, 6F. Ms. Kale, welcome.
Thank you, President Davis, trustees, and Mr. Riddick. To give you a little bit of an update about what's going on with innovation. Holdsworth Center site visit occurred February 11th. We received notification in April whether or not we were one of the 6 finalists. Mr. Riddick worked hard to try to make the choose 7 just in case. But they had several delays. They figured out how hard it was to get to Midland from Austin. We were given this delayed date on COVID, but we held that site visit at Bush Elementary, and Mr. Sloan did a great job hosting that site visit. The campus looked great, and he interacted well as did his staff, and Mr. Christian's campus executive director. They interviewed what Holdsworth Center calls a district leadership team, and then they also visited classrooms, and they even had 2 students that they wouldn't go on with the interview until these 2 students were able to present their data folders to the Holdsworth Center team. So that was a neat thing to see. All the kids at the campus were excited to have visitors there. At least we could tell by the interaction we had with them. Listen and Learn 2.0 for Innovation Campuses will occur Thursday night beginning at 5:30 at San Jacinto Auditorium. And we will spend about 20 minutes just talking about Midland on the Move, system of great schools, and what innovation campuses mean through the call for quality school process and identification of high-performing leaders. After that, we will have parents choose 2 of the 4 campuses to go visit in classrooms. So they'll have an opportunity to spend about 20 minutes with those principals, just getting a high-level overview about what the design is and what that might look like for their students, if that's something that they would like to select to be a part of. Tomorrow afternoon, Mr. Riddick and I will be presenting to the XTO Energy Exxon Mobil group and giving some information to their PSP group from that entity about what we're doing that we're doing on the Move and system of great schools. Idea negotiations are going well. We're moving along quite rapidly with that, and that's targeted to go to the idea board on the 2nd week of March. And campus climate surveys, I have some data for you, and what I'll do since the presentation and bring it up, I'll make sure that you get that via email. But just to let you know, we have 2 weeks remaining in the campus climate participation, campus climate surveys. And for our parents, we're about 3% off where we ended last year. We're at 16% parent rate. Last year we ended at 19%. And remember that K-12 told us K-12 Insight told us last year that was high as far as parent participation, but we're moving along pretty well there. Canvas-based results were about 2 points higher right now, with 2 weeks left in that participation. And student participation, we're not quite there yet. We're sending reminders out to staff and campus principals, let them know where they're sitting in the next couple of days so that they can push that out for the next 2 weeks. I'm sure they're trying to fit that in the instructional process at all during that process. So that's what we have for innovation upgrade. Any questions?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Kale. Appreciate all the work. Before I turn to the action items, I'd like to do something I was remiss in not doing earlier, and I hope they're still here. We had at least one student who's pursuing an Associate of Arts degree for teaching at Midland College. Is that student still? Have you been joined by any classmates? All right, well, please stand up. We'd like to recognize you and appreciate your efforts and applaud your desire to pursue a teaching career. Thank you very much. All right, now turning to our action item, 7A, authorization of Midland College as an in-district charter to operate and manage Midland College Pre-K Charter. Ms. Kale, welcome back.
We are working diligently. We've been working diligently to bring this first partnership to the board, and we finally arrived. I would like the team that's been working on all this, I want to introduce them because, and they may have, Dr. Kennedy may have some remarks at some point if you'd like for him to speak. But we have Dr. Dana Kennedy, Vice President of Instructional Services at Midland College. We have Cheryl Peckham, the Texas School Ready Coordinator at Midland College. Lori Smith, formerly with Midland College, now statewide program manager for the Texas School Ready Project. And Denise McCowan, the Department Chair for Education, Child Development, and Lab Studies, and a teacher for Midland College Student.
Ah, great.
And then Don Miller, Executive Director of Special Services, and Della Fry, the Director of Early Childhood Services. So, big team that's been working on this project for a year. Midland College applied and interviewed in the 2018-2019 Call for Quality Schools process. This is actually Midland College's second year in a row to go through the Call for Quality Schools. And the board approved the Call for Quality School recommendation in December for Midland College to move forward. We've had a planning grant all year that has funded the collaboration work for this, as well as weekly calls with Maya Consulting as our technical assistant to finalize this work. So as we move through this work, on page 180 of your board documents, we are presenting the opportunity to authorize Midland College Pre-K as an in-district charter school. Board policy ELA local defines an operating partner as an eligible entity as defined by law for purposes of contracting to partner with the district to operate a district campus under state law. The board shall support the operating partner's authority over the campus charter's day-to-day operations and shall recognize the governing board of the campus charter as independent and autonomous from the board and the district with full authority and accountability for the campus charter's performance and operations. There are several documents within the packet. Page 190 is their charter application, which has been approved and reviewed by a committee. Page 246 are the performance goals, accountable towards student outcome goals for those pre-K students that will be at Midland College, as well as performance expectations. And then page 274 has financial accountability and narrative toward those goals.
This is exciting. This is great. All right, this is an action item, and there is a suggested motion language on page 181 of our board package. Should anyone choose to move?
I move to accept Midland College Pre-K to manage and operate as an in-district charter application and authorize the superintendent and board president to make any clarifying revisions or amendments to the document after consultation with district's general counsel and to execute the final document.
Second. Motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by, who was over here?
Murray.
Mr. Murray. All right. Any further discussion, comments, or questions? This is a two-step process. This is the first step. If we vote on this, it's authorization. The next step will be to approve the contract itself, correct?
Yes, sir. Tonight it's a two-step. It's actually a three-step, but the third step will come in March.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the first step, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Ms. Kale, second step, approval of performance contract for Midland College to operate and manage Midland College pre-K charter.
Yes, sir. On page 292 of your board document, we have the second component after the authorization, and that's asking for approval of the performance contract, which begins on page 294. So again, we're asking the board that you just authorize Midland College, and now we're asking you to approve the performance contract which will be submitted to the Texas Education Agency for Midland College to manage and operate Midland College pre-K charter, and authorize the superintendent board president to make any clarifying revisions or amendments after consultation with district general counsel and to execute final.
All right, this is an action item, and anyone wishing to move, there's a suggested motion on page 293. So moved to approve the performance contract for Midland College to manage and operate Midland College pre-K charter and authorize the superintendent and board president to make any clarifying revisions or amendments to the document after consultation with the district's general counsel and to execute the final document. Is that correct, Mr. Fuller?
That's the way it reads.
All right. Motion by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Truschetti. Any questions or comments? This is really terrific. Before we vote, I'd like to thank Midland College for the partnership that we have with y'all, and this is just the latest iteration of it. Thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for all the documentation you had to put together to do all this. But most important, thanks for the heart that goes into it and what will go into it. And thanks for the other members of the team. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you, Merritt. Thank you all for coming very much. Appreciate it. All right. Last action item before closed session, 7C, approval of substitute staff placement agreement. Mr. Bailey, welcome back. The information on page 333 of our board packet for this evening.
Board members, Superintendent Riddick, Board President Davis. ESS Works is hard to raise our fill rate for substitutes as they have to get here tonight, and we're on a good trajectory. They were scheduled to land about 2 o'clock, and they were rerouted to Lubbock. They were texting me and said they were going to rent a car and drive to Midland, and they'd be here on time. And they got to Lubbock, and there were no rental cars available. And so they Ubered all the way from Lubbock to Midland tonight. So they have made it on time. And so I want to introduce the ESS team that we'll talk just a little bit more about in just a few moments. Thomas Gifford, Jenna Cruz, and Fred Wilkins did make it.
That's the kind of persistence we're looking for.
As you're well aware, and I'm sure that you've heard lots of comments about, over the past several years, due to the low unemployment rate in Midland, Texas, which draws on the available substitutes in our area, we have definitely felt that impact our classrooms. Teachers time and time again have talked about their inability to find a substitute in a time of need or an illness, and that has a great impact on morale, on teacher satisfaction, on culture as well. And so we've looked at so many different options. Of course, in the district for 18 years, I know that substitute issues is not just a new thing, but it's definitely been impacted by our current situation with our local economy. And so surveying a lot of different options and looking at what we might be able to do, I'm glad to be able to present tonight what we feel like is the best solution available to our district, also the most cost-effective solution to our district that has definitely proven themselves time and time again, not only in Texas but throughout the nation. And so at this point in time, I'm not sure. I've presented a lot of information to the board with statistics and fill rate data. And so if you have any questions, we would definitely like to answer those questions. But at this time, I'd like to invite Tom and Jenna and Fred to the podium if they'd like to.
Welcome to Midland.
Thank you. Thank you, President Davis, trustees, Superintendent Riddick, Cabinet, and community. We are truly delighted to be here. It's not just words. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Thomas Gifford. Thomas is our Executive Vice President of Operations for all of our partnerships in Texas. And Jenna Cruz is our Regional Manager for all of our partnerships in Texas. They are a delight to work with and fully deliver on the commitments that we make to school districts. We were going to give a very brief overview of our work, and then we'd be delighted to answer questions and engage in a dialogue with you. Our organization is ESS, Educational Solution Services. We've been in business for 18 years, work all over the country. We have about 700 district partners. We do one thing, and we do it well. We partner with school districts to make sure that those school districts have enough high-quality substitute teachers, substitute paraprofessionals. As Mr. Bailey said, if you don't have enough substitutes, it's hard on student achievement, it's hard on teachers, it's hard on principals, assistant principals, it's hard on the community. And so our job is to make sure that we have enough. Right now, we broke down your data, which is what's on the screen right now, and we use that to really drive our strategies to make sure that we're able to deliver a customized approach. Everything we do is focused on what we can do to customize for Midland. This is the type of success that our partner districts see. I included a couple from around the country, but the four that we've started with here in Texas, we decided to, the organization decided to come to Texas about 3 years ago. That's the reason our team was put together. We partnered first with Denton ISD. Denton was at an 88% fill rate. We now have them at a 97% fill rate. And what that means is, if they need 100 substitutes in a day, we're able to successfully fill 97 of those requests. And it's not just about the people, it's about the quality of the people as well. We also partnered with Royce City, Salina, Everman ISD, and we just recently were board approved in Abilene, Illinois. So this is the type of expectation we have for our work that we can do for Midland. Your fill rates right now are about 68%. That's a challenge. We can fix that. We can get you more substitutes, more high-quality substitutes. It won't happen overnight. We're human too. But we've got the plan, we've got the people, we've got the processes, and everything we do is customized to you. You have a commitment to your community to make sure that you have control, full control, over who's in your classroom. And we would never ask our partner districts to give up that commitment. So even in a partnership with us, you control the qualifications, the requirements, all the conditions. You control the pay, and you ultimately control if we send a sub that the class is not happy with, the principal assistant is not happy with. If they say we don't want to see that sub again, or if they say we want that sub to leave now, our answer is yes ma'am, yes sir. And then our only question is to figure out what we did wrong so that we don't repeat.
I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question, maybe I'm missing it, like on Denton ISD, they're probably, I guess from what I can see on the Texas side, is pretty compatible, maybe a little bit larger district than what we are. So from the time y'all started, is this with this 423-18, is that when y'all started in their district?
Yes, sir.
So from there to now is where you, what was their percentage before then?
The percentage fill rate, sir, was 88%.
Okay.
They felt as a district, no matter how hard they worked, no matter what they paid their subs, they couldn't get their fill rates to stay above 90%. They would work and work and work and work at it, and then it would fall back down. And the way their board discussed it, and we've had this conversation with their board many times, one of the board members, Mr. Stafford, said, he said, these guys at ESS, these gals at ESS, he said, they just have a different mousetrap. And that's true. We work 12, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and we can make sure that we're able to put the resources on the solution because we only do one thing.
Thank you.
This is just an overview of the scope of work that we do in partnership with the district. We do everything from recruiting to managing. We would, in our proposal, we have proposed that we will place a 2-person team on site here at the district. They would be ESS representatives, a full-time account manager, and a flex-time recruiter. And we would make sure that those folks are accountable to you, to Mr. Bailey, to your principals, to the leadership, to the board, to the community. We would then support them with our regional team, Thomas and Jenna and all their resources, and then our national team to make sure that we're able to give you guys the support that you need and put a great deal more energy and resources into it than a school district can do by themselves. And then the last slide, and I promise this is the last PowerPoint, one of the things we take a lot of pride in is the treatment that the substitutes receive, the benefits, the incentives that they receive. It can be a little scary for substitutes. You have substitutes in your community that have worked for you for 20, 25 years. They're good people, they work hard. We want them to stay, we want them to be happy, we don't want them to be concerned. The first question usually is, hey, you're going to cut my pay, aren't you? Nope. And no, sir, we're going to pay exactly what the district tells us to pay. And we're going to pay weekly. And we're going to offer every substitute health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, 401k. And the insurance that we offer is quite a bit more affordable than what most school districts can afford to offer, because we have about 55,000 to 60,000 substitutes in our pool nationally. So those substitutes are able to get more in terms of weekly pay and benefits and incentives than many kinds of school districts can offer. We're also able to offer top-shelf training that will customize specifically to Mr. Bailey and the district's demands and needs to make sure that we're delivering exactly what we need. That's probably not covering it.
On your fill rate data, you obviously you're hitting the highlights where you're doing it best to show the potential in those 90s, high 90s. We're hitting about 68%, Mr. Bailey. Is that about right? And the commitment that I'm seeing is that first year you're only really shooting for 75%. Is that wrong?
Not exactly. We're shooting for 85, 90%. We want as high fill rate as possible. Of course, that impacts the budget, and we understand that. But as a caveat to the entire plan is that they have guaranteed that we're going to at least hit the 75.
That's their baseline.
That's their baseline without some funds that come back to the district.
Okay.
So you feel pretty confident that in our economy, that's a doable? I mean, you've looked at our economy here, and situated way out west. I mean, I don't know. I know you're not familiar with Midland in the sense of.
And the answer just simply is yes. And the reason being is, besides all the benefits that we're able to offer to our substitutes, we're also able to impact people in the community that maybe look at sub because of the benefits that we have. A lot of folks, when they're looking for career change, looking to do other things in their life, might look for a company or organization that can offer vision, flexible schedules, all these other incentives that we offer on a regular basis. Sometimes the district can't provide that. So as an entity that can, we impact folks that either didn't know it was an opportunity to sub the school districts, or they didn't know they wanted to sub, period. With our recruiting efforts as well, allowing us to have somebody in the district that can constantly recruit for you guys, we're able to impact more community events. We're able to go out and into the community and impact the folks that live and breathe in Midland. They're dedicated to the area, and they just maybe want to do something that's a little bit different. And so we're able to impact folks on a more consistent basis than sometimes the district. So we have seen the same amount of unemployment rates across all of the districts that we have serviced. We have not seen an issue with recruiting folks, retaining individuals, or even motivating individuals to work all of us.
So in any of your cases or places you're at, have you ever drawn some of the population out of the district itself into in any of the situations you're in, servicing other, locations? Is there any are you pulling from the pool of people that are in the district at all? Are you seeing people leave the district?
That's a great question. So ideally, when we take over a district, all of the existing substitutes would transfer with us. That is the best case scenario. Unfortunately, life happens, people move, they do other things with their careers. So there's always that transition period where folks will leave the district. On the flip side of that, we have teachers retiring. We have wonderful teachers within our communities, and we want to make sure that they're just not quite ready to retire. We also employ those folks as well. However, what we don't do is we don't go and find those teachers and pull them out of the district for substitute services. But we have seen the reverse. We have seen where folks have started as a substitute. Maybe they're finishing a career at college. Maybe they just wanted to test the waters to see what really grade level that they prefer. And then they transpired into full-time teachers in the district. So,
is there a cost to the district for that transition? If you find a person that wants to go back in them,
and you can sleep well at night. Mr. Bailey is a strong bishop.
Okay.
We talked through that process, and just as long as they work a certain number of days with ESS because they've gone through the training and recruitment process, then after they've met that benchmark, then they can move over to the district.
Okay, great.
We want that, honestly. We want substitutes to see that this is a pathway to becoming a teacher in your classrooms. It's good for the subs, it's good for you, it's good for your students. We want that. We want to be your partner for 10, 15, 20 years. And so we want to be a part of that to help that success.
Great.
Any other questions? All right. Well,
how do you, Mr. Bailey, foresee this being a significant relief to the challenge that we have had relative to substitute teachers?
I would say that in general, we historically employed one person, one paraprofessional in the HR department to oversee all aspects of substitutes. That includes vetting, onboarding, recruitment, retention, dealing with issues with substitutes. And so one of the benefits that we've talked to them for over a year now, it took them a while to actually convince that this was the right move. And but over the course of time, when they start talking about 2 weeks down the road that we have a professional development day that we can already see there are 150 subs that are needed on that particular day. That's not including sickness or anything else. And they can utilize their team of more than 10 or 15 people to start in advance, 2 weeks in advance to start lining up those subs. We're just not able to do that in our department. And over the course of the last 3 years, we've lost staff in the department, so many of the job responsibilities have moved around. So when you start talking about the proactive approach, recruitment, retention, that's where they really make the difference. And it does make a difference in what the district can currently provide.
Thank you.
I move that we accept and approve ESS to provide our substitute services.
motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. Bishop. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, ESS team, for coming and your persistence in coming, and we look forward to the results of your good work. Thank you. All right, it is 7:52 p.m. and we will go into closed session in accordance with Government Code Sections 551.071 through .074, 551.076, 551.0821 through .084. Thank you very much. It is 9:23 p.m. and we are emerging from closed session to address action item 9A, teacher contract abandonment. 1, good cause did not exist for resignation, and 2, complaint and request for sanction to TEA regarding H. Turley.
Board President Davis, board members, H. Turley that present good cause for resignation. Request to pursue sanctions to TEA.
I move.
Motion by Mr. Marquez, second by Mr. Bishop. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. All right. Now we have, I'm going to combine them, action items 9B and 9C. Both deal with teacher contract abandonment. 1, good cause did not exist for resignation, and 2, complaint and request for sanctions to TEA regarding 9B, T. Hayes, and 9C, C. Garcia.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to table this at this time.
Second. Motion by Mr. Kennedy to table, second by Mr. Murray. Is that correct? Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. All right, it's 9:25 p.m. and we are adjourned. Thank you all.